Wanted to get one more climb up Farron's before the snowfall came and before winter. I love this climb. I'm headed back down. We're gonna find some shelter and I'm gonna work some of the hilly sections. We're gonna talk about how you can learn to better manage your efforts on hills and climbs. So let's go. There's a hole down there. Right down, where's my finger? In that brown spot right there, part of Jackson Hole, that's the elk refuge. And once winter hits, all the elk come down off the mountains and will feed there all winter long, and there'll be thousands and thousands of elk, which is pretty spectacular. All right, we're headed down. All right, first a shout out to one of my athletes from California. He just finished his first 100K, 13,000 feet of climbing. He squeaked in just under 15 hours, 14:59. Can you imagine the heart rate on that last quarter mile to break 15 hours? So kudos to him. Like I mentioned, I just finished Farron's, wanted to get this in, possibly the last time before winter really hits. And this is a 3.25 mile climb with 1,200 feet of climbing. And I would say for the most part, it's a gradual climb. It's kind of the grade I like. But within this gradual climb, there are some poppers where it gets really steep for a little bit of time and then mellows out. It'll go downhill actually for a little bit, or it'll even go flat for a little bit before it starts climbing again. So it's really a varied climb, which is why I like it, because you're not able to settle in and just kind of maintain a good steady pace. Sometimes that's good and you want that, but here it's really good for strength. But what I want to talk about today, and kind of go back to my athlete who just did the 100K, is that in his training, we really focused on race strategy on his long runs, of really taking advantage of terrain that allows him to go faster, and that's downhills and flats. On the uphills, we want to get him as strong as possible so he is able to run and hike the climbs at a strong effort and an appropriate effort for 100K, but we want him to be strong so they're not necessarily overtaxing him. So again, he's backing off a little bit on the uphills so he can maintain and focus on the downhills and the flat sections, where now his pace can be 2-3 minutes per mile faster than his climbing effort. And so that's a big tactic for all my athletes who are running mountains and trails in their races, is that the strategy is we really want to take advantage of the terrain when it allows you to go faster. Again, all with the idea that this is an appropriate effort. That doesn't mean you're running your fastest downhill, but you're focused and you're using and taking advantage of the terrain when you're able to go faster with less effort, opposite of a climb. So what I want to do today is talk about how to, what I call, read the terrain, and to make moment-to-moment decisions as to how to manage your effort on trails and climbs to really take advantage of the terrain that allows you to go faster. So I'm going to do this POV style. I'm going to run this section uphill with the camera, and as I'm running, I'm going to talk about how I am reading the terrain and how I'm adjusting my effort based on the grade that I have coming to me. And so with this, I'm always looking ahead, 20, 30 yards ahead to see what's coming, so I have a strategy in mind moment to moment as to what I'm going to do with my effort. Am I going to back off because there's a little steep hill coming? Or hey, am I going to be able to push it downhill a little bit and take advantage of the downhill? Or is it mellow out and I can run just a little bit faster than if it was a steeper grade? A common mistake runners make when training or racing, specifically racing, we're talking about race strategy here, is on terrain like this where it's very varied, where it's up and down, and the uphills are short, they tend to get impatient, and because they're short, they can see the top of it, they kind of push and get over it because, again, it's short and they just want to kind of get up and over it. And this is a flawed tactic in a long race because that's very, very taxing. That's more taxing than doing a long, steady climb in my book. And so you don't want to get impatient. And if you find yourself getting impatient, you're going to find that you're needing to use the downhills for recovery because you're pushing the uphills. And that's, again, that's okay in some purposeful training. I have my athletes do that. We need to do that in training. But we're talking race strategy here, is if you're finding yourself needing to use the downhill or flatter sections, faster sections for recovery, your uphill is too hard and you're not able to take advantage of the time where you can go faster. All right, so let's go. Okay, here we go. So I'm running along. It's relatively mellow right here, so I'm kind of nice steady pace, picking it up if I can because it's faster, it's not a lot of climbing, and now I've got this grade that kicks up and I'm going to go into quick backing off, quick cadence based on my level of ability. Now it's over with. Now it mellows out a little bit. I can speed up a little bit, but then it kicks up again. So I'm backing off, focusing on cadence, keeping a good effort, staying patient, reading the terrain, and now I get to the top and now it mellows out and now I can speed up. And it stays really mellow for quite a bit. And then it kicks up again. I'm backing off, quick cadence, patience, and going again. So you can see these aren't very long, but I'm always consistently reading the terrain. And on some of these hills, uphill, depending on your race distance and where you are in the race itself, that might be a hike instead of backing off on the run. So let's go back and do it again as a hike. Okay, here's my gentle terrain. Pretty flat, relatively speaking, so I'm running really focused. Now I got a little popper. I go into a hike. I get to the top and I run. Only for a few steps because then it kicks up again. I'm back to a hike. Always reading the terrain ahead of me, making decisions, moment to moment decisions. Get to the top of that little hill and then I'm running again. So you can see it's never just one decision and sticking with that decision. You're always making these moment-to-moment decisions based on the strategy, based on a distance for a race, where you're at the race, to manage your effort so you can take advantage of faster terrain when you're able to go faster with less effort. So, all right. Hope that came out all right on the camera. It's maybe I'll run it downhill and you can kind of see what it looks like downhill because I'm headed downhill. Let's go. So flat, steep. Steep again. And if you pace yourself and manage your effort on the climbs in general, now you're much fresher for the downhill where you can really open it up and make up a lot of time. So many ultra runners focus so much on their mind, their strategy, their mental energy on all the climbs when it's really the downhills that once you get to the race should be your focus. And of course, you want, like I mentioned earlier, you want to get as strong as possible on the climbs so they're not as fatiguing relatively to appropriate effort. And then again, train your downhills so you're able to really take advantage of the terrain. So now I've got 3 miles of a 1,200-foot descent that I can really take advantage of and make up a lot of time. That's where our time comes. All right, over and out. Let's have some fun.